Hello everyone, and welcome back at today's analysis. As for today, on the 151st episode, we are going to discuss about the Vault Dweller, the main protagonist of the 1997 video game Fallout, and overall one of the main protagonists of the Fallout franchise. And pretty much a survivor who tries to live and to thrive into a post-apocalyptic world, and who fights against the forces of evil in order to protect and save his people. Well, pretty much the Vault Dweller is only the first out of a long line of such survivors that will come after him in the subsequent games. And in this episode, we're going to discuss all that we know about him throughout this video game, as well as the legacy and the influence he left on the posthumously speaking to the next games, in order to understand the Vault Dweller and how well he managed to survive in the wasteland. And now, let's begin. Before we analyze the Vault Dweller, we all first need to understand how did the World of Fallout came to be. Apparently, in this timeline, after World War II, history has taken a completely different turn. First of all, the United States did not develop microchip processors into the 1950s. They were similar to what we did in our timeline, and thus causing the technology to stagnate, and hence why the World of Fallout is so much 1950s. The second of all is the fact that by the 1960s, the United States has become more like a commonwealth instead of a union of states, having become a commonwealth of 13 realms unified together under the federal government. And third of all is the fact that in the 1970s, President Nixon visited the USSR and in order to open up, which hence why they managed to resist longer after their supposed collapse in 1991, and hence why pretty much they still existed into the 21st century. But even with this, the USSR has greatly declined and officially faded into irrelevance, while China became the new communist superpower. They came to challenge the United States hegemony into the 21st century. And throughout the 21st century in this timeline, the United States annexed and conquered Mexico, as well as the fact that a resource crisis started in the 2040s. In the sense that more resources like water and food and many other necessary things for our survival has come to be very sparse around the world, hence because of pollution and global warming. And by the 2050s, the United Nations have collapsed, and all of this led to the Sino-American War starting in 2066, when the People's Republic of China literally tried to invade the United States of America. The US managed to repel the Chinese invasion, and the wheel turned as the US managed to invade China, as well as annexing Canada in the process. But this war concluded around the year 2077, when China launched nukes at the United States and the US retaliated. And with this move alone, it resulted into the fall of civilization and the near extinction of humanity, as the whole world has become a nuclear irradiated wasteland, and many people and animals mutated and became literal mutants and monsters. And now, before we continue, we need to stop and ask, how realistic is this scenario? Unfortunately, this scenario is somewhat partially realistic. Yes, the threat of World War III is a real threat. I'm not going to deny that. Even we confront something like this into real life. But honestly, I do not see the possibility of mutants like the ones in Fallout to actually be real into our reality. But thankfully, a mega corporation known as Voltec has created all kinds of vaults across the USA, and many people took refuge into those vaults for them to survive the nuclear apocalypse. And here comes our protagonist, the Vault Dweller, who was born in Vault 13 in California around the year 2141, and was raised and grown into the community established within that vault. And around the year 2161, at 84 years after World War III, he has been sent in order to find a new device in order to create purified water. As unfortunately the device was already used by the vault has been broken, and so this man has officially went out there in order to save his people. And in the process, he came into contact with various organizations, some friendly, like the followers of the Apocalypse and the Brotherhood of Steel, but others aggressive, such as a cult known as Unity, that worships a being known as the Master, a literal mutated human who integrated himself with technology and tried to destroy all the surviving humans across the wasteland so he can officially create rule over a civilization of mutants. So his belief that humanity is a failure. So of course the Vault Dweller had to do anything in his power to stop him, to save the human race. And before we continue, we need to stop and ask ourselves, Is this dweller a good person? I understand the question might seem silly given the context, but in my opinion, I already give you now the answer as being yes. The Vault Dweller is a wonderful person, and he is not perfect. He eventually does everything necessary to survive, and he even helped humanity to thrive through his actions. As he helped to lay the seeds for a brand new civilization that will rise after his death. And eventually he stopped the master and stopped his insanity before it can come to fruition. The cult now of unity has fully collapsed, and eventually after all of this, the followers of the Apocalypse and some loyalist cells from the Brotherhood of Steel, as well as his Vault and many others, unified together to establish the new California Republic, a literal federal government, a federal republic akin to the United States of America that has risen on the west coast of the USA. In order to help to bring back democracy and civilization into the wasteland. The Vault Dweller eventually had children and grandchildren, and eventually he passed away around the year 2208 at the age of 67, and being immortalized by many as one of the best heroes that of the wasteland has to offer. So in the end, who was the Vault Dweller? He was nothing more but a simple man who just pretty much did anything possible for his people to survive. A man that confronted the forces of evil head straight and didn't and will stop at nothing until he'll sacrifice anything in order to protect those he cares about. And a man that could easily be called as one of the bravest video game characters ever created. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe, and have a nice day.
Ah, you're here. Good. We've got a problem. A big one. The controller chip for our water purification system has given up the ghost. Can't make another one, and the process is too complicated for a workaround system. Simply put, we're running out of drinking water. No water, no vault. This is crucial to our survival. And frankly, I think you're the only hope we have.